You shouldn't keep your butter outside of the fridge for too long. A few hours out is perfectly fine. But if you leave your butter out for more than a few hours, especially if no precaution is taken, you risk it quickly becoming rancid and going bad. But thankfully, there are some simple things that you can do to keep your butter stable outside of the refrigerator. Now, it's important to note that the USDA recommends that you don't keep your butter outside of the fridge for more than 2 days. So I strongly suggest that you don't go past this time frame. These 5 tips that we're going to give you are meant to keep your butter fresh and prevent spoilage, but only in the short term. In the long run, always refrigerate to keep your butter safe and edible. Our first tip is to keep your butter in a cool and shaded area. Find a cool spot in your kitchen or pantry away from direct sunlight and heat sources. Heat can cause the butter to melt and spoil more quickly, regardless of whether it's salted or unsalted. Also, sunlight can break down your butter, which is why you should keep your butter covered or placed in a cupboard away from sunlight. Tip number 2 is to use a butter bell. A butter bell is a traditional French method of storing butter without refrigeration. It consists of a bell-shaped lid that sits atop a crock filled with water. The butter is placed inside the lid, which is then partially submerged in the water, creating an airtight seal that keeps the butter fresh and spreadable for a few days. Our third tip is to use our quick vac butter container instead. If you don't want the hassle of dealing with a butter bell, then consider using our quick vac butter container, which was designed to be more effective and easier to use than a butter bell without needing to use water. To use, just place your butter inside our container, lock the lid, then press the green square pump on the lid 5 times. This pumps the air out and creates a vacuum to lock in the freshness of your butter. Our quick vac containers are effective for 2 main reasons. 1. Air works to oxidize your butter, which causes it to become rancid. And by keeping your butter in our quick vac container, you prevent this from occurring. And 2. By pumping the air out, you also slow down any mold and bacteria growth and reduce the rate of spoilage and the risk of food poisoning. Vacuum sealing is also why the butter in supermarkets don't go bad easily until you open and expose them to air. Our butter containers were designed to allow you to easily vacuum seal your butter every time you open it. You can check out the description to get our quick vac butter containers on Amazon. Our fourth tip is to use salted butter. If you plan to keep your butter outside for long periods, then you should opt to use salted butter instead of unsalted. Salted butter contains salt, which acts as a natural preservative, inhibiting the growth of bacteria and extending its shelf life. And finally, our fifth tip is to ensure that you use clean utensils when cutting the butter. If you use utensils that have been used before, you can contaminate your butter, which can introduce new bacteria that can speed up the rate of spoilage. This is why you need to use a clean butter knife to cut off the amount of butter that you will need. Avoid double dipping the same knife after using it to apply the butter to your foods. One of the main goals at Food Light is to help reduce food wastage. This is why we're pioneering different ways to reduce food spoilage. When you buy one of our products like our quick vac containers, you help us to continue on our mission, so every purchase is greatly appreciated. Also, please consider liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell to get more tips and tricks to make your foods last longer. Thank you very much!